In 2013, I did a course, PGCE, and then I qualified to be a teacher registered with SACE, which is South African Council of Educators. And then I started looking for a job as a teacher, abandoned the idea of working in a construction industry, even though I have a construction qualification. So what happened was, I then looked for a job. In 2015, I landed at a school in a rural area that I used to live in. But I went to primary school, but this was a high school where I taught maths literacy, right? I started in grade 12. Now, mind you, I had never, ever seen the subject before. Like, I had to learn it at that point. But I actually studied pure mathematics, so it wasn't going to be that difficult, but it was not easy to learn a new subject, even if it's based on a subject you know. So that's what I did. And I worked there earning 3,000 Rand a month, right? This was a big change for me. It was huge. I went from having no income to having 3,000 Rand a month. I could pay my rent, I could buy groceries, I could buy clothes for myself. I could travel from home from the Eastern Cape, since the school is at the Eastern Cape, to KZN and not ask anybody anything. It made me completely independent, and I'm grateful for that. It also came with a lot of stress. And one of those stresses was I was constantly always studying the subject, and I wanted to be comfortable, so that I wanted to know the subject very well so that I can be comfortable in the classroom, especially since I struggle with communicating with people, being in crowds. And I thought, if I know the subject, it will make things easier. And I was right about that. So later on, what happened was I couldn't stay anymore there. They started having their own in-school politics. If you've ever taught at a school, you would know, especially in South African school, I don't know in other countries, but people are always having their own in-school issues, right? So I was like, okay, it was time to go. And I left with no job. I wasn't going to any job. I went back to KZN and stayed with my mother. No job, no plan, nothing. That's when I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. Oh, I was down and out. Oh, I went from earning a bit of money to nothing. And I think that humbled me. The fact that I went from nothing and then earned 3,000 Rand for about 2 years. And then I ended up being back in the situation that I was before the 3,000 Rand. So it made me realize 3,000 Rand compared to nothing is a lot of money. It's 3,000 more than nothing. And that's when I was like, that's it. I'm going back out there. I'm going to go look for a school. Hopefully I'll find something. And that's when I went to Gauteng. Packed my bags and I went to Gauteng. My aim was, in Gauteng, there's even private schools, a lot of them. So I need to be going from school to school, asking them to hire me. I spent 2 days that were full in Gauteng. Actually in Johannesburg. No, let me not say Gauteng, because Gauteng is a province. In Johannesburg. I spent 2 days in Johannesburg. I couldn't move around without being accompanied because I had traveling anxieties. I do have traveling anxieties, but when I'm in small towns, when I'm in rural towns, I can get from point A to point B without being frustrated. When I was in Johannesburg, it was like, no, I can never stay here. Because whenever I need to go somewhere, I should be accompanied. This is not going to work. Called my mother and said, plan A has failed. I need to go back home and come up with plan B. Then I said, Gauteng, bye. Now, I don't know Gauteng well, so I don't know if there are small towns in Gauteng. I don't know if there were rural areas. And even if there are, I stayed with somebody in Johannesburg, which means if I was going to go look for a school, ask principals to hire me in the rural areas in Gauteng, I would have to move from Joburg. I cannot move in Joburg. I'm scared of Joburg. I did the thought. Okay, so then plan B was like, okay, do I go to Mpumalanga first or do I go to Eastern Cape? Because I was like, those are the two places I'm thinking I'm going to. I made a list of the provinces that were rural because I needed to not go to cities. And I made a list and I said, okay, there's Mpumalanga, there is Limpopo, there is Eastern Cape, all three of them. Which one, Asanda, are you going to go to? Oh, that's my name. Which one am I going to go to? I said, okay. Someone said, start with Eastern Cape. And then I went to the Eastern Cape, started straight from the Mtamvuna River. The Mtamvuna River separates KZN with Eastern Cape. And since I live close to the Mtamvuna River, I live about nearly an hour away from, no, less than an hour away from the Mtamvuna River. So I decided that I'm going to start with the schools that are right there at the beginning. Took me a long time. It cost my mother dearly because I had not saved when I was working. A lesson that I learned. This is a lesson. Pay attention to that. When I was earning 30,000 Rand a month, I was able to have extra cash, but I never saved it. I always wasted it. So when it was time for me to look for a job, I didn't have money. I was going back home and being funded. So now what happens is I go to the Eastern Cape. I start at the beginning. I go from school, high school to high school to high school. And I wanted to go to the ones that are remote. Like if a high school was by the main road, I would only go to that school if it's like late and we can't go to the remote areas. We have to go back home. And then we would I would wait for my mother to get paid, and then the following month would start the same thing again. A special thanks to my brother, who was willing to drive my mother's car and take us there. And I know if I was going alone, I would have never been able to go to the many schools that I went to. Them accompanying me made me brave. All I had to do was get in the car, and then when I get to the gate of the school, navigate, find the schools with GPS. What is this? Google Maps. And then we would get there. I'd get in, ask for what I came for, get out, right? So I don't want to lie. I did not go to a single school and experience problems that would make me maybe like give up. In fact, every time I went to a school and I would talk to a principal or a deputy principal, or sometimes there would be none of those, and then the clerk or whatever, people were just helpful and understanding. You know, people have siblings that are not working. They have cousins that are not working. They have cousins that are worried. They're worried about that are in varsity, and they're worried that when they come out of varsity, they were not going to get jobs. They understood. And so it kind of gave me that oomph to keep going. This motivated me. I was scared, but this motivated me to say, okay, I'm received there very well. There's no need to fear too much. Fear of the unknown is no longer there. I went to 27 schools and spoke to 24 principals. Only 3 schools that I went to that didn't have the principals were not there when I was there, and I spoke to either the deputy principal. One school I had to speak to the HOD because there was the deputy principal and the principal had gone to a meeting. Even more remote schools, and we went there. I'm not even going to bother listing them. I lost my list of the schools that I went to. Oh, that was far. Anyway, we get to the town. And we're thinking, hey, wait a minute. There's another high school here. And this school that I know, it was a Roman Catholic church school, I think. It had like primary and high school, or it was a high school. I was like, let's go there. I want to go there. I don't know why I was so determined to get there. But when we get to the town, we went to another high school that's named after a chief. We went there and I tried to get into the school, and I was told that I have to enter, I have to use an appointment. I have to make an appointment to enter there. And it was like schools were almost like after, I think it was like after 1 or something. And I was like, I cannot make an appointment. I will never know when I'm coming back. So I just left it. I turned around, and then some young man was passing by, and I asked him, like, the school that used to be here, where is it? Because we could see that it wasn't there anymore. And he directed us. Guess what? When we tried to go to that school, we got lost and went to the school that ended up hiring me. This is what happened. We were supposed to turn left We passed we were supposed to turn right. We passed the right turn, and then we found the left turn, and we said, okay, fine, let's turn. Let's see if there's a high school here. We drive, follow the road, and then right in front of us, the primary school just shows up. Nice, beautiful, freshly done, new building, primary school. And then I'm like, okay, let's ask the the guy at the gate, like the security guard, yes, at the school. Let's ask him where the high school is, because this primary school, there's a high school that they use. I was like, he's like, it's behind us. I'm like, what? Behind, like, it's here. We're going there. Then we went there. When I got there, I was told that the principal is not there, but the deputy principal is there. And I spoke to her, and this lovely lady that was sitting next to her, which turned out to be an HOD. Guess what? I was so irritated when she kept interfering. I'm like, oh my God, why is she interfering? And it turned out to be a good thing, because eventually she was like, hey, I think this kid can help us. She said to the deputy principal, I think this kid can help us, because our kids are sitting without a teacher, especially the grade 12s. And I was like, yes, I can. I was like, yeah. It's just, then she was like, don't say maybe, say yes. Just say yes. And I said, yes, I can help. And then she was like, okay, we'll talk to the principal. And then the following day, then we went to more schools, because it was after 1, and we know that schools either end at 2 or at 3. Then we went to more schools. Just after we went to 2 schools, I get a call from the deputy principal that I'd spoken to, and she's like, come back tomorrow. The principal wants to talk to you. Now, mind you, I'm in the Eastern Cape. I do not live in the Eastern Cape at this time. I'm in the Eastern Cape, and we are going to drive back home in KZN. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't leave. You guys have to leave. I have to find out what they're going to say. I cannot go. Then I remember, wait a minute. My surname? Lots of people that I know from here. Then we started looking for my relatives because I needed a place to sleep. And I remembered I have an auntie right close by in the next village that we were going to pass very soon. And I said, let's go look for her. We'll just go and ask people where she is. We found her house, but she wasn't there. Turns out she was at work. And then we were like, wait a minute. We went to one of the family members at a funeral back in the days. I still remember where it was, and then my mom remembered the way it is. And we went there, and as we are standing by the gate, my dad's brother's wife shows up. And I'm like to my mom, there was no house there before. When we were here, there was no house there. And then we were like, wait a minute, did you not tell me that they actually had acquired that land? Oh, they've built a house and staying there. And then they were standing at the gate as well, just like getting into their yard. And it was like, oh my God, they got me a solution. I ended up staying they ended up offering me a place to stay. Like, oh my God. I was able to sleep that night, wake up the following day, go to the school. My cousin accompanied me, and they were like, okay, we're gonna hire you, but we can't promise for how long. It was like, you know how it goes with SGB posts and stuff. So because we are expecting the teacher to be here, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't care, hire me for 1 month, hire me for half a month, as long as I get to do something. This is the only yes I had gotten. I ended up earning there 4,000 rand. Like, I'm going to be honest with you when it comes to money now, because I wanted to make sense. Because when I say to people, I'm broke, they're like, you're working. Come on. It's either you're wasting your money or whatever. So I went from the 3,500 that I was earning. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to earn 500 more. I was like excited, but I was excited. Now, mind you, I don't have a child or anybody that I'm actually literally directly responsible for. This was okay for me. And yeah, that's how I ended up having the SGB post that I have right now, right? So yeah, that's just about the gist of it, Next up, I'll share how I learned how to save and end up with 38,000 Rand in the bank. See you next time. Bye.